Good morning and welcome to the Morning Blend Extra. Today is Friday, July 25th. I'm Jake Pearson. Coming up on today's show, we have long bike rides, large amounts of butter, and a brush up on our estate planning. But first, let's take a look at the weather forecast out there. Certainly felt like the dog days of summer here this past week. Taking a look out there right now, first and foremost, I want to bring your attention. You can see right there, 50% chance for some storms here later on tonight, meaning it's going to be hot and it is going to be humid. That being said, it is going to be relatively cooler than we've had here the last couple of days, so that's certainly something moving in the right direction. Back onto Saturday, increasing our chances for some storms up to 60%, keeping that temperature at 86 degrees, but our low is going to be moving up a little bit there at 70 degrees. Moving into Sunday, heating up a little bit more, high at 89, losing those storm chances. And then as we move back into Monday, we see the return of some heat there. You can see heat index value of 105 on Monday there, so definitely never a bad idea to be downloading our WIFR First Alert weather app. We're going to be having cooling station articles, everything like that posted. It's definitely never a bad idea to be downloading that app. Moving into Tuesday, cooling down a little bit, and then look at that cool down between Tuesday and Wednesday. 89 degrees for a high Tuesday and 79 on Wednesday, dropping 10 degrees. You can see we're bringing back the chance for those storms there. Not super severe, but slim chances. And then moving into Thursday, cooling down even more with a high of 76 degrees. Man, oh man. Holy cow, it's been super warm the last week. I know there's probably a lot of people out there who are excited for that cool down. Live pictures here from our primetime audio video East State Street cam. Whole lot of cloud cover there, and I'm sure that there's a lot of people who are pretty excited for that, especially since the heat, just the sun, being out there, whew, man, just getting touched by the sun feels like you're up 10 degrees. Turning back to our headlines here this morning, it's a big deal over in Iowa. A bike route called RAGBRAI takes riders on a week-long adventure from one end of the state to the other. This year, the route crossed into neighboring Minnesota. Reporter Aaron Stuve introduces us to one family who's made the event a family tradition.
Every year since the 1970s, the Register's annual Great Bicycle Ride Across Iowa, or RAGBRAI, has seen tens of thousands of cyclers ride border to border across Iowa. That history has brought with it quite a bit of tradition, as families often reunite for the ride every year. That includes the Marion family, who have been riding together for over 30 years.
Pretty sure my mom said, "You ain't going on RAGBRAI, Dad?" And he's like, "Kids are coming with me." So my 11-year-old brother, 14-year-old me, and my 7-year-old brother started coming. I'm 40 now, so do the math on that, I'm not sure.
Went ahead and took him on RAGBRAI, and his famous quote to me was, "Dad, this was so much fun, I want to do this until you die." And so anyways, I'm 66 now and he's 43, and yeah, it's just a fun time. It's been a big family thing.
Through all that tradition also comes change. Changes to the ride and changes to the riders themselves.
I used to do RAGBRAI with 2 legs, and I have lost a leg about 4 years ago, so it's a new challenge for me. I've always loved cycling, but I just it's just a new challenge now with being an amputee.
The route of the ride also changes every year, this year dipping up into Minnesota for the first time ever, going through Jackson as part of the more than 400-mile ride that lasts the entire week.
I didn't bring my fishing pole this year. I missed a lake over there, kind of disappointed about that, but you know, we're out here for the bikes, not the fish, so.
And an exhibit using 2,000 pounds of butter was unveiled this week in Ohio's capital city. And this is something I know we have here a little closer to home as well during this time of year. Presented by the American Dairy Association Mid-East, the exhibit Pardon Our Dust depicts cows and construction workers and is on display at the Ohio State Fair in Columbus. The butter cow is a tradition of that state fair, and this year they're wearing hard hats to represent the renovations happening around the fairgrounds. A team of 6 sculptors spent about 400 hours, if you can believe it or not, to build that buttery sculpture, and 335 of those hours were spent inside the cooler that they're stored in, which sits at about 46 degrees Fahrenheit. The butter was donated in part by Dairy Farmers of America and will be recycled after the completion of the fair.
So there are major renovations going on in the historic Dairy Products building as well as across the fairgrounds. With so much construction and renovation, it made sense that we put hard hats on the butter cow and calf this year, and we're depicting a buttery construction scene.
Seeing how many people come in here and see it, you know, I don't think you can help but like see how important it is there, and like through the dairy, you know, the dairy farmers and the association, and just the tradition of it.
A little closer to home here, a group in Chicago has found an unorthodox way to let off some steam and make life a little easier. This is Scream Club Chicago, and they meet on the lakefront every weekend where they breathe deeply and collectively, screaming into the open air over Lake Michigan. Manny Hernandez, a breathwork coach, started the group as an outlet to deal with stress, inviting others to join on social media. The weekly therapy sessions are growing in popularity.
What's bringing me back out here really is that there are things I'm ready to let go of, that I'm finally have an outlet where I can get it out of my system.
I think this is a good way for us to be able to, in a healthy way, release whatever we have going on inside out into the void.
I'll tell you what, I could definitely see the health benefits of something like that. You know, have a long day at work or something, go out, scream a little bit. I don't know. Hey, you probably wouldn't want me screaming though, because you guys probably wouldn't be able to hear me talking here when I'm on the show. Coming up, we'll review the importance of estate planning with a local expert. Don't go anywhere.
You're a mom, but you're also a cook, a chauffeur, and a maid too. You're on demand, so your news should be on demand too.
That's where WIFR steps in. Whether you catch us live or catch up on the day's events, you can get your news from WIFR on your time. From WIFR.com, the WIFR News app, or the WIFR streaming app. It's video from the news team that's putting you first. WIFR. At WIFR, we want to know, does your pet have an entertaining personality? What about their unusual features? Do they have an iconic sense of fashion? Why not give them the spotlight they deserve with WIFR Pet Pics? Scan the QR code or go to WIFR.com. Click on See It, Send It, and upload your pet's picture or video. They could even be featured on WIFR News at 6. WIFR Pet Pics, sponsored by First Staffing.
At Gray Digital Media, we craft engaging campaigns that grab attention and get results. Extending your message across all platforms. Gray Digital Media. We know local. GDMRockford.com. When you want to know right now, predict, or catch up on the stories you missed, download video of your local news on the WIFR News app. Live breaking news.
We have reports of multiple shots fired.
Real-time forecasts.
We are tracking some rain potential for tomorrow.
Custom alerts for the stories that impact you. It's fast and, best of all, free. The WIFR News app, where the news and video you want are all in one app.
Your local experts.
Personally invested in your safety.
Your most experienced weather team.
Giving you the first alert to prepare for the worst.
WIFR, putting you first.
Welcome back to the Morning Blend Extra. We're joined by one of our regulars here, Natalie Barber of Tobin, Ramon, and Barber. Natalie, great to have you back as always. Thanks so much for being on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so first things first here, you know, again, we've had you on the show here before. Never a bad time to talk about estate planning. So first things first, let's establish the basics here. Okay. What is an estate, and, you know, do I have an estate? The viewers at home, do they have an estate? What's sort of the situation with that?
Yeah, if you own anything, jewelry, house, vehicle, clothing, you have an estate. The right set of documents for your estate, that is very heavily dependent on what makes up what you own. So for example, if you rent and you don't own your own home, you could probably get away with doing just a will and not have to go to probate.
Gotcha.
The minute you own real estate, like you own dirt and like an improvement, like a home, or even if you just own land, you probably need a trust. Because with just a will or with no will, you're going to be subject to probate.
Yeah, and then obviously I think too, you know, you think estates, you think, oh, there's some
like
some
you have to
power
be
behind
wealthy.
It. It's like, yeah, and it's like, no, estate's kind of just really anything you own.
It's for regular people.
Yeah, absolutely. So
white collar, blue collar.
Yeah, whatever collar, right?
Yeah.
No collar,
if
right?
If you have a collar, then you're wearing clothing and you own something.
And then, you know, taking it a step further, then what is estate planning?
So that's getting your documents set ahead of time so that you can decide where stuff goes when you die. You can decide who hands that stuff out. Excuse me, I should have taken a sip of water too before we started. You can decide who your preferred guardians are for minor children if you pass away and you've got kids that are under 18. So it's planning ahead, because if you don't plan, you kind of plan to fail.
Yeah, and plan to fail. That's definitely a good way to think about it. And obviously, you just kind of mentioned there some of the basics about why you would want an estate plan, but taking things further, kind of getting a little bit more into the nitty-gritty of things, you know, why do people really want that estate plan?
Because if you don't do your estate planning, if you don't say in your will or your trust where stuff goes when you die or who's in charge of your kids, the state of Illinois does have a default plan. So not making a decision, just failing to do your estate planning, just avoiding the subject because frankly it's not so fun to talk about it. We try to make it as painless as possible. When people leave and they say, well, that wasn't so bad, that's a win.
Yeah.
Because it's an uncomfortable subject.
Well, and especially, you know, you have to think about the fact that, you know, obviously talking about death is kind of already an uncomfortable topic, but I think for many, you know, not knowing or thinking that things are going to be falling into the wrong hands, maybe after somebody's death, can be a much scarier thought.
Yes.
So, you know, how often should you be going in to review these plans? Because this isn't necessarily something that you want to just, I don't know, maybe make a Hail Mary shot and say, oh, this is what I'm going to set things up. You want to be updating this, these estate plans and things like that kind of as you're going. And the sooner that you get things in, the better, if I'm not mistaken.
Agreed, because then you've got your foundation in place. And if we have little tweaks along the way, let's say you change your mind on who gets everything when you pass away, or you say, no, I think my oldest kid should be my first successor trustee, and then it should be, oh, no, I'm going to switch the order. Those changes are easy once your documents exist, because frankly, with technology today, we just have them in the computer. We can change it, spit out that document, you sign it, and now your estate plan is updated. I would say my clients check in with me about every 5 years.
Gotcha.
If it's been 10 years, if it's been a decade, probably life events have happened, like a birth, a death, come into money, retire, job change, you've moved, and you needed to like already have been there yesterday. You don't need to see me every year. It is free to come in and check in on your estate plan. So some people take me up on that, and they have it in their calendar and they come see me. They've got a regular recurring event.
You know, you probably love to see them, but it's probably not necessary every single year.
It's not, but my clients are my friends are my clients. So honestly, we chat a little bit and we look at their documents. Usually nothing needs to be done because it's only been about 11, 12 months. But it's nice to see them. And then sometimes I'm wrong. Sometimes, you know, they're doing this yearly thing and something comes up in conversation and I say, oh no, that's a trigger for let's change this document. So you can't think about it enough. On the flip side of that, a well-drafted estate plan, apart from preferences that change, legally, if that document is drafted by an attorney who knows what they're doing, all of the backups are built in, all of the contingencies are built in, so that technically you only have to do it the one time. So no matter who dies in what order, no matter what life brings you, there's a plan. Because the worst thing that can happen, I think, is that you don't have enough backups or a contingency to the contingency, and then you don't want your stuff to go as unclaimed property to the state of Illinois. There's literally a division, and there are hundreds of thousands of dollars of money and assets that are just sitting there.
Yeah, absolutely. And then obviously looking closer at sort of what you guys do, how do you guys sort of guide people through this process? Because like we said, you know, talking about death can be a touchy subject for a lot of people.
Yeah, so we try to make it as easy and smooth as possible. You come in for your free consultation, there's no obligation, it's just a conversation. You can choose your estate planning package. We have them divided up into essentially 6 levels. And then we set an appointment about 3 weeks out. You come back, we review the documents. If you like them, we sign them. If we need to spend our time making changes, we do that. And then if you have a trust, not only does the trust need to exist, we've got to put everything in the trust. That's called funding your trust. So my trust clients then have a 3rd meeting. Again, this is all a flat fee, so we can take it as slow or as fast as they want, where we have that conversation and we say, okay, this is what you're doing with this account. Okay, we already put your house in trust, you know, check that box. We essentially make up a we call it our trust funding memorandum. It's a fancy to-do list. And then
a little rubric, kind of all the bases you got to cover.
And I make recommendations, and then the client can carry those out, or we can do it for them or with them. And then you're an estate plan client with us. You've paid your flat fee, and any changes to that document suite, to that set of documents, is free.
Absolutely. And then obviously, just like we talked about, you know what happens if you don't have an estate plan. You don't know where things are going to go after, you know, eventually things do, you know, the clock hits midnight, I suppose. So.
The state of Illinois has a really strange default estate plan. I think it's strange. For a traditional family, let's say you're married, you've got 2.5 kids or whatever the average is. One spouse dies, half goes to your spouse, half goes to the kids, no matter how old they are, no matter how much you like them. And it's strange, right?
Yeah.
You would think the default would be everything to the surviving spouse.
Right.
Then when we're both passed away, the kids can inherit it in equal shares.
Right.
That is not the default.
Interesting.
So that's the number one reason to at least get a will.
Yeah, certainly very interesting. All right, well, hey, that is all the time that we have here for our interview, Natalie. Obviously, some wonderful information, and thank you so much again for coming onto the show as always.
My pleasure.
Yes, absolutely. And as you can see on the screen right now, if you're looking for some help putting together an estate plan, you can check out Natalie and everybody else over there at Tobin, Ramon, and Barber at 530 South State Street in Belvedere, or you can head to tobinramon.com. Natalie, thank you so much again for coming on.
Thank you for having me. And the best way to make an appointment is probably to call.
Yes, all right, certainly very interesting there. All right, and coming up after the break, Marvel's First Family returns to theaters. We'll have that next.
At Gray Digital Media, we craft engaging campaigns that grab attention and get results. Extending your message across all platforms. Gray Digital Media. We know local. GDMRockford.com. When you want to know right now, predict, or catch up on the stories you missed, download video of your local news on the WIFR News app. Live breaking news.
We have reports of multiple shots fired.
Real-time forecasts.
We are tracking some rain potential for tomorrow.
Custom alerts for the stories that impact you. It's fast and, best of all, free. The WIFR News app, where the news and video you want are all in one app.
Your local experts.
Personally invested in your safety.
Your most experienced weather team.
Giving you the first alert to prepare for the worst.
WIFR, putting you first.
Welcome back to the Morning Blend Extra. The Fantastic Four: First Steps is the latest film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe to hit theaters. However, this isn't the first time that we've seen these characters on the big screen. Rick Damigella looks back at the movie history of this heroic family.
We all know the story. 4 brave astronauts head up into space and come back forever changed.
The Fantastic Four: First Steps is the latest big screen incarnation of Marvel Comics' First Family.
Mr. Fantastic, Invisible Woman, Human Torch, and The Thing.
But of the quartet of Fantastic Four films that came before it, only 3 made it to theaters.
They become the most powerful superheroes of all time.
1994's The Fantastic Four never received an official release. Its story is explored in the 2015 documentary Doomed: The Untold Story of Roger Corman's The Fantastic Four.
You know that look cool.
2005 did see the release of Fantastic Four starring Chris Evans and Jessica Alba. It was followed 2 years later by Fantastic Four: Rise of the Silver Surfer.
You should use these powers to help people.
20th Century Fox tried rebooting the franchise with a new cast in 2015, but the movie went on to be the lowest grossing of the studio's Fantastic Four films.
I herald Galactus.
The franchise is now part of Disney's Marvel Cinematic Universe, with Pedro Pascal leading the team against an intergalactic threat.
Whatever life throws at us, we'll face it together.
In Hollywood, I'm Rick Damigella.
I got to give you my thoughts a little bit on it. Comparing it to Superman, because I did see Fantastic Four last night, pretty on par. I'd give it a solid 8 out of 10. I was a big fan. That's going to wrap up the Morning Blend Extra for today. We'll be back in just a couple of hours.